Right, Jamie Ford, you've contacted me about a job. Well done, come to the right man. First pass, 10 out of 10, you've come to the right man. I've currently got a big project on, 5-year project, a massive project. I've got a programmers working for me, and it's going to take 5 years. But I can take time off to slot myself in to do what you want. You want somebody for 6 months. I've got 40 years experience, and I'll take you along with it. This is an Apollo document, by the way. This is the way I work, Apollo documents, something called Xenophon. I will start off with the age-old presentations where you used to tell them what you're going to tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. So initially I'll do an initial presentation, which will take less than 5 minutes. I'll then go into my free speech to tell you about everything that is going to happen with your project. I'll finish with any other business, so I'll be all over the place. So I expect you to go through in transition, which is one of my methodologies for business analysis. Right, you need to get yourself prepared. Get yourself a pen and paper and draw a square in the middle of it. And we'll start. We've got just one page of notes here. That's all I've done. We're going to go through in transition, leadership, design, project phases, activities and tasks, task it, health and safety, welfare, health again, and any other business. Right. My projects, people work hard. They work 20 hours a day. We're at war, James. We're at war, James, Jamie. So I'll take you through www in transition. You're now going to write down everything I say during this interview on your piece of paper as bullet points. If you fill the paper up, you overload it with a red pen. If you go over it again, you go into a blue pen. So here you go. First one, rules of analysis. Your meeting with your clients. Piece of paper, but in transition. You take notes. You take notes as if they're a piece of artwork. You scribble notes. It's called a Genesis document. And then when you finish writing your notes, you split them up into a number of pages. White rose, black rose, white knight, black knight. You analyse what should be done straight away, what the customer can't pay for, what you want to do for the customer that is essential for his project, but he doesn't see it as a potential. So you break it down into a number of categories, which I've got documented on www in transition. Right, I'll take you through that later on when I've created a website for you. I will be creating protopage.com, Jamie Ford, at some time tomorrow. Right. First one, leadership. I'm a leader. I am an agile product owner. I take control of projects. I'm a designer. I'm a database designer and an applications designer. And what I need from this project is 7 project owners, so that they report to me and I'll control the budget. Each of the 7 project owners will control a budget, and I'll decide that during the project, during the sprints, which of those project owners is going to take the lead, and we'll be developing for a project owner and producing synergy and giving the functionality to the other 6. So we do it for 1 and we deliver it for 6. So you get 7 projects in 1. You get 7 times the amount that you want to work for. Right? So we're dealing with multiple people within the organisation. Right. Agile teams. leadership. I need agile teams. So we need product owners. The first thing I need is a personal assistant to run the project, to do the agile tracking, the Trello documents and the open workbench documents and the communications through Xenophon. So effectively they'll be the team leader. I'll be the designer, right? She'll report to me as the team leader. Traditionally, she would be the team leader, but I'm the general. This is a war plan. We need infantry soldiers, we need cavalry, we need big guns, and we need a nuclear force. So I'll just note those down. I've just thought of that. That's a lightning thought. We need infantry, cavalry, big guns, and nuclear. Right. Now for the team that I need. I need a top-class programmer. Has to be the best. Has to be good. He will be my nuclear man. He won't be doing the majority of the work. He'll probably be a C programmer for doing subroutines, and he'll take the brunt of the problems, the disaster recovery, as they come out of the team. Because there will be problems with this development. There will be programs that become too difficult for somebody to do. I've experienced it on a number of occasions where a project which should have taken 13 weeks took a man 8 months to develop because he took the wrong approach. He did something too complex, and he was stubborn, and he wouldn't come out of his shell to simplify it. I had battles with him. I was the project leader, but he wouldn't take instructions because he was the senior programmer. He was an assembler programmer and wanted to do user hooks. I stopped him doing user hooks, and it made it complicated in formula, and he struggled with it. But I put my foot down. He wasn't going to do user hooks, so the Royal Mail wouldn't be able to manage their own system. So I stopped using user hooks. He had to do it in formula, and he struggled for 8 months. It wouldn't take on my lead to break the system down into multiple lines. Right, so that's just one little story. Just sidetrack there. Right, the team. The nuclear force is your senior programmer. In my terms, it's Richard Gilbert. He's my man. Right, Microsoft certified 30 years. He works for me. We then need programmers. We need a senior programmer, an intermediate programmer, and a junior programmer. Team of 3. And then we need people out of the business. We need management trainees. We need 3 management trainees out of the business, and they'll be doing Wigby documents, Wigby programming. They don't need to have any programming experience. They'll be working on Wigby, whereas the senior programmer, and junior programmer will be working on Longhorn. They'll be programming between them in C#, Blazor, Azure, React, JS, Angular, JavaScript. Because there'll probably be some mobile phone apps that wants to be written. I guess there'll be this will be done in the cloud, there'll be cloud computing, and it'll be done for home servers. It'll be done for a home server. So you can have in your business a server that you can host. It's called a Stratbox. I'm selling it through high-tech computers. So you'll develop it on home servers so the lads can work at home on it, and we can put it up into the cloud, and then we'll implement it onto your own infrastructure. Whatever that may be, I will have to learn it when I come to work for you. And that will be my top priority as the designer, to look at your systems to see where I do a systems integration as an infrastructure manager. So that's my first role as an infrastructure manager to find out about your systems and how we're going to do systems integration, and how we can work with you, in line with you, in parallel with your teams, and what you're working on, working to your standards, not my standards, to your standards. My standards are very, very high. I'm relentless in standards and documentation, and my teams will be producing waterfall documents. They'll produce a feasibility study for a steering committee. There will be a steering committee, so we need 3 people for a steering committee as part of the team, and they will operate under the product owner, and the product owner will report to me. Right, so we've got a steering committee and we've got 1 development team. Depending on the size of the development and how we want to do it, there may be a second development team, or there may be a small development team that's not fully agile, that's just waterfall, which is a number of developments, and they'll be working with pre-SRs and SSRs, program service requests and system service requests. And they don't necessarily need to work agile. They can work at their own pace, but they'll be monitoring and delivering systems in the rapid application developments with rollouts. And the schedule for the rollouts are the 1st of the 1st, 2nd of the 2nd, 3rd of the 3rd, or in your case, we'll start on the 4th of the 4th with the first company structure that I'll write for you, because you want nominal ledger interfaces and company structure. So we'll kick that off. We'll kick company structure, job accounting, and QCore security systems off, and I'll start them with my team now. I'll do this to my team to kick them off with QCore. Paul Edwards wrote Q in 1980s, a pre-runner of Windows. He ran it before Windows, and we did QCore, and I used Q when I put the first PC mainframe link in using the Copy King and Irma 3270 communications for PCs to the mainframe, and 5251 emulation for mainframe to System 36s. During that exercise, I noticed there was a limitation on the design of programs using screen painting, that the 5251 was only limited to a number of attributes, a number of data codes per screen, and that's one of the lifetime experiences that I have. So it's something to watch for when you do your design in your infrastructure, is what's the limitation of the form that you can have on a view. And it's not going to be many, because we're not as compressed as we are on green screen applications. It may be you're asking me to do a mainframe situation, mainframe program. I don't know what you're asking for. If you want Kix, COBOL, IDMS, I'm your man. If you want relational databases, DL1, DB2, I'm your man again. So I'm into hierarchical and relational databases. I'm a database designer. I do a little bit of SQL. I did a year 2000 project for Sodexo, and I created a program that reverse engineered programs and told me what the entry points are, programs, functions, that did date processing, and I did TDD, test-driven data, to run data through and convert the data into U2000 data, so it was aligned on the days. So the Monday was aligned with the Monday, and the Tuesday was aligned with the Tuesday, with live data that was going through the system. And I ran that for 2 years, whilst the systems were still being developed, parallel running the production systems at Sodexo with year 2000, and it worked very nicely. I had a team of operations analysts, and I created the test environment where I could strip records out of the database, out of the production database for employees, and produce mini databases and mini schedules. I'm an ops analyst, I'm an experienced operations manager, I'm a programming manager, I'm a business systems manager, and I've been in the industry for a long time. I've been in the industry since 1970s. I headed an assurance team to do a payroll conversion back in the 1970s, and during that I started to program. They noticed I could program in the programming department and invited me to join the programming team. I was an accountant for English all round. Right, so there we go. That's first, the team. We need the team. Right, the project. Project. Hoskins. Best company in the world. Hoskins. Finest IT service companies in the 70s. Right, reported to Margaret Thatcher, Jeff Unwin did. Used PMW, Project Manager's Workbench. Can now be downloaded as a free download as Open Workbench. Uses projects, phases, activity and tasks, and does resource management, critical path analysis. Super package, don't necessarily need it now, but if you want to go down that route, I recommend you can do it, but I recommend that we do paper-based Gantt charts because they're quicker and they're easier, and we can scratch them out on bits of paper and distribute them amongst the team for we can work out our own critical path. We all know how to do critical path because we're all professional. You can look at your actual times and your pessimistic times, and you can work it out. There's a video on my university on how to do critical path analysis. So if we don't know it, we can learn it. Right. So that's the project planning, and we'll be running. We must run agile. If you're not going agile, you don't want me. You don't want me at all. If you're not going to run agile, if you're not going to do daily updates to your assurance region, and if you're not going to get your assurance region up within the first week of the project, you don't want me. I want people doing assurance testing on Wigby, putting data in to define the physical database from week 1. I expect that within the first week of the project that we have 7 tables done. I'm limiting the project to 49 tables. That will be one block. That will be Xenophon block 1, sprint 1, 49, and then there'll be Xenophon sprint 2, which is another 49. Xenophon sprint 3. As many as are needed as tables in your system. And the first thing that we will do is work with Xenophon, which is getting you to register with Gmail. You need a Gmail account, and you'll produce business stories. You'll produce Genesis documents. The first exercise, the first milestone, because you put milestones in PMW, will be the creation of business stories. And that will scope the exercise. That will decide how big the project is. And from that, we can do our planning. You can't do your planning until you've done your business stories. There's no point in doing it. You need to know the scope and the size of the exercise. And during that analysis, you'll have to classify each PSR, each program service request. That's one program, one function, one subroutine. You can call it what you want. It's a program. It's a subroutine. It's done in the fastest language that's needed. If it's one that's going to be used again and again and reused, it's C. Otherwise, it's C# MVC or PHP MySQL. Right, but I don't know what you want. Full stack. If it's something that I don't have, then I go into training mode and I teach myself up how to do it. If you want Angular, I've written Angular by using W3 Schools, and I've written JavaScript. I did an Open University course in Java, but I came off it because I knew it. They told me I knew the course, and I didn't need to do it. So I got my money back from Open University. I didn't finish with JavaScript because I know C. I got a qualification in C, and I did psychology and health and economics and nutrition and coaching for coaches. All good courses. Very happy with the university. Not happy now because they've closed down where I am. It's no longer a walking centre with a library. So I can no longer walk into the Open University and look at their courses. It's just a call centre. Something that I'm very disappointed in because I'm a lifelong learner. I'm self-taught. I go to the Open University, look at their material and hack it to write my own courses. Right. So where are we? I think we talked enough about project management. Well, I worked with Peterborough Software and as their primary tester. Peterborough Software started off in the 1970s. Just a few lads in porter cabins. There was 8 lads in the porter cabins when I joined them, and I became their primary tester for Ingersoll Rand when it was Unipay 5.2, which was on an ISAM database with a master file and a rules file. They went to VSAM, released 5.3, before going to the way he worked his operation was he invited companies in to use the product, then they specified what they wanted changes to the product, and he charged them. So he had multiple versions of Unipay across the companies he had in the UK. And then his business grew, and he took on more people. I forget his name now. I should know his name. And I never met him though. And he went to consolidated 5.3, which was VSAM, KSDS, ESDS, RSDS. But he did it on a KSDS, key sequence data set, master file with a rules file where you attached rules by data code. You had a pre-update formula on a data code, and you had when they went to the TP system a few years later, they provided the user. This was for users, by the way, not for programmers, for users with a screen painter. And he gave them a screen painter where they could paint data codes, and they came to me as a programmer to write the programs, the formula behind it. I was invited to join the business systems team as a project manager, straight out of being a programmer. I took over from Keith Brown, who left the company to go to Zeda, which I believe was a company run by Peterborough Software Wives. So I took over business systems team as a project manager when Keith Brown left. And they sent me on 2 courses, business systems analysis and practical system design. And the course was given to me by a man called Bill Haywood, who was the project manager at Ingersoll Rand before Keith Brown. So I was into a good school there, schooled by a good man, schooled by Ingersoll Rand, excellent training at Ingersoll Rand, highly professional. I was a management trainee with Ingersoll Rand. I went around every department in the company, and they put me on the HND, Business Studies, which I came off when I was invited to be a manager in the operations department. I couldn't do the shifts. I couldn't do they didn't want me to do the HND when I joined the IT department. They wanted me to do the VAI, the internal courses. They had a room with loads of videos. First thing I did, look at the speed reading and the effective writing course, because I knew I'd be writing specifications. And we went through a steering committee. We went through waterfall. We went through feasibility study. Then a functional specification, then a design specification, and then pseudocode and flowcharting. And we had structured walkthroughs when you wrote your program and you did your flowchart. The senior programmer went through with his junior programmer and did a structured walkthrough of the flowchart to make sure that was was going to work before he started coding, because it took a long time to turn programs around in on the old IBM 370, 4341 or 4241, whatever it was. They only ran in one partition. Now I went to IBM and I realised the machine could be multi-programmed, multi-threaded, and I persuaded the Ingersoll Rand to buy Power VS. That's priority output writers, execution processors and input readers, which allowed us to run multiple partitions. Now, taking over Unipay, because it was a user-based system for users doing parameters, basically, it was a very highly sophisticated system. I was allowed to run in 8 partitions. So I ran the company for 8 companies. Ingersoll ran Horwich, Ingersoll ran Swan Lane, Ingersoll ran Hindley Green, Ingersoll ran Wythenshawe, Ingersoll ran Darlington, Ingersoll ran Coventry, Torrington Company, Ingersoll ran Sales Company Limited, Directors Payroll. I ran the Directors Payroll. I did all the input for the Directors Payroll, and actually ran it operationally myself, so that nobody could see the the pay awards that the directors were done. I did all the input and all the punching, and ran the Directors Payroll. And I ran it through. I kicked all the operators out while I ran it and did all the printing. I took control of the machinery. I used to go on weekends to run the machine and do me work. I had a free spirit to work whenever I want, and I used to go in working nights. And I had the free run to run the machine. They used to let me run the machine when I was on nights, doing my work. And when I joined Sodexo, I was a senior designer at Sodexo. They realised I could program, and they put me on support. And I used to have to go in every night because the company structure was ill-designed, and the operations was ill-designed, and it kept falling over. So I had to go in to fix it. Well, that suited me because I could have time off in the morning and time off in the afternoon to go and play golf. Because golf was my hobby, and I write systems now for golf clubs. Right, I do the golfhub.net, and I'm doing every golf club in the UK. Or going to, it's by Project Nimrod. Right, now where are we now? Task it. Right, easy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You can work off just a few tasks. I have 26 tasks which I assign to jobs. I can't remember them. I've got them listed down somewhere. Can't remember where. I'll do them again. I just invent them as I go through. But I can get up to 26 types of tasks. But what we'll be working with on this project is task A. Those are your planned tasks, your sprint tasks. Task B will be your next sprint. Task C, unscheduled tasks which you've not got in your sprints. Then we'll have an R&D task, which is non-chargeable. Right? We're doing research and development. Programmers on this project will be junior programmers. You'll be paying out £18,000 a year, £22,000 a year. They will be junior programmers doing this development, and they'll need to learn. And it'll be part of their training through my university to learn new programming languages. And I'll teach them that on my Digital Champions videos that I have to teach them new languages. So it'll be a training exercise for them. They'll get a qualification at the end of the exercise. They'll be qualified under my university, and that'll take their career forward. Now they'll have like a union card, because I did unions with my father. There's red, yellow, green, orange, black. Richard Orr gave coloured cards. In the union, the green card was your top man, your nuclear man. The red card was a semi-skilled, and the blue card was an unskilled, and the yellow card was, I can't remember. It's 40 years ago since I've done it. But we're going to have many cards at different skill levels, and we're going to write you a payroll system. We're going to write you a payroll system because the people on this project will become associate consultants for Red Octopus, and they'll form their own limited companies, and they'll have the intellectual rights to what they do. The intellectual rights of what my team does isn't owned by the company that they work for. They work for themselves, and they'll work for me as Red Octopus as associate consultants, and I'll earn a commission from them That's where I earn my money, earning the commission for what these people do. That's the ethos of Design House. Design House, I started Design House when I was 6 years of age, when I used to do garden designs. And I employed a team out of Manchester Parks, the workmen from Manchester Parks, to lay greens for me and do gardening and supply me with plants for the gardens I used to design. So I was running a business from the age of 6 years of age using Manchester Parks. Took down poplar trees and demolished air raid shelters when I got a bit older. When I was about 16, I used Kenny out of the army to demolish an air raid shelter for me, and I persuaded him. Weren't for nothing. I said, "Come on, Ken. Instead of going down to the gym with me, lifting weights, we'll get some sledgehammers out and we'll knock this air raid shelter down for my sister." And she paid us about £300 for it. Well, next door saw what we were doing in the garden and said, "Could I take the poplar tree down?" So I said, "Yes, I can." So I asked the lads in Manchester Park to take away the wood, because that was the big part of the job. And I paid them to take away the wood, and I took a poplar tree down. Now, I worked for John Feeney from the age of 11. I started work as a paper boy at the age of 11. Then I went to Bellevue. I said I was 16 when I was 13 and became a program seller. And I became the senior program seller and did all the accounts for Bellevue and employed my mates to become program sellers. And then at 16, I got a job behind the bar. I said I was 18 and I was working behind the bar, the social club where my dad used to go. And I accumulated a lot of money. Got a job, invited to join Barclays Bank when I left school when I did my A-levels. So I did take my A-levels. I dropped out of school and went to Europe to learn European languages. Unfortunately, my friend broke his leg and we came back from Europe early. I was without a job. I was working for John Feeney. Used to do the accounts for John Feeney. For his, he employed people at home to do sewing, and we ran the business doing people at home doing sewing. So I worked for John. But I got an invite for John Pickup. Got interviewed in the CNA, a shop in Manchester, when I was with my dad, to joining us all around with my dad. And he put me in as a management trainee, and I was assessed as being a high flyer by Hoskins, and they told me, the company, to give me every opportunity they could, and they progressed me up the management line. And I was now I met my wife on the 26th of September 1981, and her father was John Arnold Edwards, the pro man for anti-computers, made computers. So he became my mentor. And told me all about. He was on the exec. He was a senior exec. He was a mason, and he brought me up. He taught me everything about management. His son Paul, I taught son Paul Jackson structured programming. Paul got a job with Ferranti, and I told you he wrote Q, which was a access control system, which we'll be bringing into your customer, projectx. We'll do Q core. I'll kick Q-Core off now. I'll get Paul involved, tell him that we want Q-Core, because instead of paying me on this exercise, I'll do it for free. I'll do the project management for free, and then outsource the core developments, the nuclear developments, to Paul and Richard. So you're getting for your fee, you're getting me as a community guardian for free. And you're getting two programmers with 30 years experience. Now, you don't get a better deal than that, and we'll put them on your rates, Comic-Con rates, protopage.com/Comic-Con, COMECON. So we'll get them on Comic-Con rates, and I'll be on Time Bank rates as a Manchester Community Guardian, and that's free. 20 hours a day, you've got me for free for 6 months. Quite happy with that. That's the way I work. Right, tasking. So talk about tasks: A task, B task, C task. Disaster recovery. I charge £64,000 an hour. If you've got a problem and you want me to sort it out, I'm sorry, it's £64,000 an hour. Health and safety. Right up my street. Working for an NHS called Medicare. This is Medicare for people, occupational therapy. I had an interview with a student nurse the other day. She's going into my study group as my study buddies, and we brainstormed out 10 tasks that you need to do for your general health, and the 11th one being any other business. Then we did well-being for your mental health, well-being, and we tasked out 10 well-being tasks plus 11 any other business for your personal well-being and your personal health and safety. Now Amazon, bless them, Jeff Bezos, had a problem with his union. Now I'm a union negotiator. I did all the union negotiations with things all around me. My father was on the shop floor, and I was the management. And myself and my father worked out the pay structures for the company. We used to negotiate it, and we had a strict way of doing it, and it worked out on a consolidated rate. So I contacted Amazon, their recruitment, their department, and I don't know if you know it, but Jeff Bezos called his company Relentless, but didn't go through with it. So I created Relentless and Relentless Union, and I sent a document to Amazon to tell them what they needed to do with their union negotiations, and never got a reply. Didn't get a reply. I offered to go in as a union negotiator to get them around their union negotiations, and they never replied to me. So I've got two websites, Relentless and Relentless Union, which you'll also be getting for your union negotiations, should you want it. So that's gone through health and safety, and welfare, and health again. People working on this project will be working from home. They'll be booking time during the day on the project, and they'll be having a home server. You'll supply them with a home server, and they'll be doing 2 hours of time bank for their own personal development, and they'll choose what languages they want to learn, and they'll increase their CV by having new languages. We're going to take them through HTML, we're going to take them through JavaScript with W3 Schools, we're going to take them through Angular, and they'll have to research Python, they'll have to research React.js, PHP, MySQL. What I'll try to do is get Paul to do standard modules for amend, update, amend, delete, and menus. Paul will be charged out to do that. That's high level work. We'll pay him £100 an hour for that, because he'll be supplying the code that people will be able to copy. And the same with Richard with his Blazor. He's already doing it. He's doing it with GitHub for me. So the programs that Richard is writing will be put up to GitHub so that the junior programmers can copy them. And again, Richard will be charged at the £101 an hour. Room 101. Richard and Paul, £101 an hour. We've got Studio 54. We'll charge them out at £54 an hour for support and chat GPT processing. This is where it gets interesting. Chat GPT AI writes programs for you. Doesn't matter what language you want to use. You can say, take a design specification, and produce the code for your project. Your junior programmers and your management trainees will be using business stories, where the business stories will be gone through ChatGPT to produce a functional specification, which will then go to the steering committee, and they'll judge them 1 to 9, and in the areas of complexity. We'll decide which of these PSRs are going to be complex, and then we'll assign the workload to the programmers depending on the level of complexity. 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, and then 10 for nuclear. The reporting structure, which will be agile, which will be on a daily basis. In fact, I'm not going to do that because that's too time consuming. We're going to do it on a weekly basis, because we expect people to be speaking out. If they've got a problem, if they hit an amber or a red task, they speak out through emails and tell them that the programs are slipping because they've got in amber and red. So green is I'm okay, I'm working, I'm fine, I can continue without any help. Amber is I've hit a problem, it's beyond my capabilities, I can't work my way around this, I can't get my head around it, I need assistance from a nuclear resource. Red is got a definite problem here, I'm a senior programmer, I know what I'm doing, this function is not practicable, we need to redesign it. We have to get the team together, get in a room, brainstorm it out, get the whole team together and resolve the situation. That's your nuclear tasks. And you do get nuclear tasks when you're running projects. It will happen. Right? I had a project working for Dave Blythe. He gave me a simple task to change an existing program. So I wrote the procedure, and the procedure worked right, and I came to integrate it, and I couldn't integrate it into the program. It just wouldn't slot in anywhere. So I spent 3 weeks trying to slot it in. And I said, look, Dave, I'm failing here. I can't do it. I can't do it through one pass of the program. It won't integrate the changes that you want. There's your test results for everything that you want, but I can't integrate it into the program. I'm going to have to do 2 programs. In the main, if option 1, if option 1, go to option 1. If option 2 goes to option 2. She said, look, well, if that's the case, Alan, you have to duplicate the whole program. By all means, do it. Now that was non-standard, right? But that's what you've got to do when you hit a problem. You've got to break away from your standards, and you've got to do whatever it needs doing to get your task done. It might be through re-entry processing, doing extracts, and doing programs to work on the bits that you're working on, and then piping the data back in. That's a good way to do it. And that's one way how I do the complex nature of programs. I subroutine them out to the C programmer. I'll do an extract, and we'll do a subroutine which processes it, and then we'll pipe the data back into the system via data code, and then do pre-update formulas on the data code to validate it, to make sure the database is clean. Now this is what you get from me. You get a transaction that validates your whole database. We look at every data code in your database, and we go through a validation, and we put that through a process, a Nimrod process, that validates the whole database. So the data take on, we need a JSON expert, we need an XML expert to take spreadsheets and convert them into JSON documents, Power BI, and the man for this is Tom Davis, another one of my men. He's a pilot. He's just spent £100,000 on himself to become a pilot, but COVID has knocked him back, so he's had to take a job back in Royal Scottish. He was a banker. He was a Power BI banker, and he's taken a job in administration at Royal Scottish. Well, they can see how good it is, and he's been promoted into Royal Scottish to do Power BI. and it's going to be working for me. Sorry, it's going to be working for you, because the offer that I'm making you should be irresistible. You're getting a team of 4 people working for Foundation Computing, and I'll have a team of management trainees who you'll be training up to go into your IT department and become contractors for you on a career development that will take them from £18,000 a year up to £40,000 a year, and then on to £70,000 a year as an agile project manager, business systems analyst. So I'm training people up as we go along into business systems analysts for the company and project owners, agile project owners. Now, any other business? Have I got any other business? Tell you about myself. I had a £6 million contract back in 2006 to do Young Masters Golf. I appointed Paul, Richard, Charles Halford from Ocean Design, Charlie Ramsey from what was Charles' name now? Genesis, I think it was. And we did 6 months' work for David Gosling. And Ben Fish, who was ran his own company, All-in-One Computing. We noticed that Young Masters Golf, their websites had loads of errors. So I was working with Microsoft as a beta tester at the time. And I said to David Gosling, when Microsoft deliver Longhorn, I'll be coming in and running my own business. I'll take over your Young Masters Golf and we'll fix all your errors. And we'll get you doing your company and make it an international company. So in 2006, Microsoft announced Vista. So I bought a Vista box, and IIS was still enabled, so I could do home servers. So I was doing home servers for golf professionals, and David gave me a job as an IT strategist to do courses for junior golfers in IT. Set up a YMG International University to teach junior golfers IT. 6 months into the project, I wrongly allowed David to speak to Ben. Now Ben was handicapped. He had a car accident and he had a brain problem. But he was running his computer services company, hosting sites, and he took on Dave's hosting of YMG and did a great job clearing up all the disconnected links and correcting spelling mistakes and tidying up the site. We did that in no time, so he did a good job. So Dave persuaded him, he was speaking to him, to do a tournament registration system and a quiz and a forum. Now I told Dave not to release the forum until he put a forum administrator in, and he released it and he got pornography on it, and I was so cross with him I took the forum off him. Now Richard did ASP.NET starter kits, and we did a temporary site so David could put his badges out and sell his badges on an ASP.NET starter kit. And we got Harvard and Ocean Design, just forgot his name, James Harford of Ocean Design, to do a shop for Dave, for clothing and golf equipment. And that had an interface via a spreadsheet. I selected it online, looked at the website, said it was good. So I selected the one that had an update via a spreadsheet, because I outsource. One of my companies is an outsourcing company. High Tech Computers is an outsourcing company. Right, so we do project development through Foundation Computing. where we do a physical database with validation on your data codes, pre-updated formulas. That only does mandatory and optional tests. We don't do the business rules until we've actually got the system up and running and see that people are using it, and then we go through change control to filter the business rules in. So you run in initially without any business rules, and we select a company to outsource your the work to, because we don't want to do that, because we're working. We've got full-time jobs. We're in this for fun. This is just a bit of fun for us. We need to select a company then that can do your development for you. But your development from us, this six months contract, we'll do in 7 weeks. So you need us for 7 weeks to get your system up and running, and the foundations put in place, and then we can select a company that will give you lifelong support on it, and I'll help with the selection of the company and the interview processes there. I have a recruitment company called Ambition, and I want online CVs on using ProtoPage, so that people can do presentations that I'm doing now, which has gone up to 51 minutes, which is take an hour, which will go into my website, protopage.com, Tea Time Movies, projectx, Ambitions Interview, Tea Time Movies. You can watch that, and you can watch Belleville Rendezvous if you want. My website, Cineworld. Right, so we've talked a lot about health and safety. We are concerned about health and safety, and we'll be expecting our people to be filling out health and safety questionnaires to make sure that they're not getting stressed out and it's not too heavy for them during this process. It's something I'll deliver into the HR system for the company that we're dealing with. They'll have a occupational health ERA. That will be delivered for free. Any other business? Any other business will have to come from you. You'll have to send me some questions. Send me some questions now, and I'll answer them. Go to your client. Tell him you found a person. He's had his online interview with me. He's presented a podcast for me to talk to him. The interview process took an hour. He's told me about his action plan and how he plans to develop his team and introduce his team to do your process. This is me telling you what I'm telling you. This is my presentation. I told you what I was going to tell you. I told you what I was going to do, and now I'm reminding you. So primarily, I'm reminding you, it's all about health and safety. It's all about getting people working hard together. It's all about getting people working agile. I'm writing a book, Agile Project Management. This is synergy. This hasn't been done for you. This has been done for my book, Adam Bramwell, actually, my son, who died, who committed suicide. I'm promised Adam I will commit suicide, right? I've got a promise with him that I would kill myself if he was going to commit suicide, which he did do. So I'm the watch by Manchester Mental Health because I'm suicidal. And they've said I've got delusions of grandeur and that I'm bipolar. I'm bipolar because I'm up and I work nights. I'm not bipolar, I'm just a night owl who does night shifts, who does night support, who works 20 hours a day. I'm definitely not bipolar. I do have grandiose thoughts. I do work for King Charles II because I've stayed at Windsor Castle, and for Graham Sharp, who was the Queen's architect. I played golf there, and I'm doing the golf club site for Windsor Castle. I'm doing a golf shop for the Windsor, the home. What's it called now? I forgot. The Royal Household Golf Club. Right, I'm also doing Eton College Golf Society, and Manchester Greater Manchester Police Golf Society Twilight Golf for Witherton Golf Club. Now, I've been kicked out of Witherton Golf Club because I'm very assertive and I bullied somebody. I told them what to do. One of the bar staff. She came up to me and she was rude to me, so I put her in a place. And the club didn't like me putting her in a place, so they've kicked me out of the club. I'm a bit assertive. When I get going, the finger comes out. You do this. I can be very strong with people. I can be very firm. I can tell them exactly what they want to do. Sometimes too assertive. Very polite, but assertive. And with Withington Golf Club, I was too assertive with one of the bar staff. I said to her, "May I remind you, love, that your money, your wages are paid for by my subscription. Can you go away and leave me talking to this member of council?" That's all I said, and they took that as being too assertive. And after doing their website since 1988, they've not taken it on board. They've got a dreadful website, and they're just Luddites. I'm trying to deal with Luddites. I have a project called the Directors Table, where the directors can speak actively to members, to give them the 5-year plan and to give them the articles of association. But they don't want to do it, and I can't force them to do it. So that's what I'm doing for the Golf Hub, and I'll be writing to the golf clubs through the press, through a project called Magna Carta. And you can see my work, protopage.com/Magna Carta. And it's effectively a Magna Carta that I'll be developing for the team. The team will have a Magna Carta of proto pages. Everybody in the team will have a proto page, and they'll communicate in Genesis and Socrates documents. Socrates documents are the ones that have gone through spell check, through Grammarly and Grammar Test, right, on Google Drive, and you'll share your documents through proto page. So beware, the 7 project owners that I want to work for me will be doing we'll be doing business stories through chat GPT and converting them to design specifications. And I'm going to have an easy life because I just orchestrate. I just watch how you do, and I cuddle people and help them out and make sure they're fine. I'm just generally a helping man that looks after people. I don't get my hands dirty. I don't do any programming. I don't write any specifications. I just make sure that people are doing what they need to do and that they're happy and they've got health and safety issues and that they're working at home, putting the overtime in, working on time bank, furthering their careers, because we'll produce a payroll system for them where they'll be on a Hayes scale, and you'll give them, as they produce the project, as it works through over the next 7 weeks, you'll give them pay rises over the next 7 weeks, depending on what they're delivering into the assurance region. Now, the assurance region will be the physical database, and that's what will be released, and your user base will then start input into the physical database. And then that's where Paul comes in with Q-Core. We analyse your user base, who's using the system, and we do their security profiles. Now, one good feature we put in there is job accounting. I did job accounting systems with Ingersoll Rand. What we can do, we can write a job accounting system to see how long people are using transactions to do, I'm trying to think of a word now, avionics I think it's called, something like that, to see how much time people are spending on the system so we can fine-tune transactions if they're spending too long on certain transactions. And I've just forgot the word now. Google do it. Google Garage. What's it called now? I've just forgotten. I'll have to look at Google Garage. I'll have to look at my digital champion to find out what Google do. Right, an hour. I've gone over. I've gone over the hour. Right, I'm on time. I'm on time and a quarter now. So I'm on £1,250 an hour. So I'm going to have to stop. I'm costing you money. I'll invoice you. Right. Good night, Vienna. Been a pleasure. This will be very valuable to my company. This video. So it'll go into Fireball. protopage.com/Fireball. Good night, Vienna.